Hey everybody, Diane Polly here, your client conversationalist, coming to you this morning to talk to you a little bit about something I believe strongly in, and it kind of is the basis of my message: vulnerability. Before we dig into that, if this is your first time tuning into me, thank you for being here. Like I said, I call myself a client conversationalist, and I teach my clients how to be conversationalists as well. And basically, what that is, breaking it down, it's simply learning how to share your story out loud so you can have really, really powerful conversations with your ideal clients online. And I primarily help other women entrepreneurs just like me who know that they have a vulnerable, which we will be getting into, story, and they're trying to figure out how to voice that into a visionary business, focusing on their words, their communication style, and everything that comes out of their mouth and everything that they write online. And if you haven't tuned into my other videos, I look at ideal clients a little differently. I believe that an ideal client is simply an extension of you. Someone who is a few years or a few months behind where you are now. So if they're at this point A, I have to get letters when I do these videos, and you're at this point B, and all you're doing is saying, hey, I know what it's like to be there. Let me just lead you through this path I took, because I've learned and have smoothed out the bumps along the way to get you to where I am now. Because that's what people are looking for. They're looking for a transformation. And vulnerability is something that I really believe helps your communication and sharing your story out loud. But I have a particular take on it. And I know Miss Brene Brown talks about vulnerability all the time, so I will not take the spotlight off of her. But I have a little twist on it. And I have a motto that I've been going by for a very long time called strategic vulnerability. And what I believe that is sharing from a place where you're teaching your ideal clients and discussing with them your lessons learned. Because there's a big difference in just blabbing everything out about your life and saying, hey, this is all my vulnerable shit out there for you to pick up and make what you will out of it, versus saying, being more of a sage, and sharing your wisdom and saying, hey, I'm going to be sharing a few bits and pieces from my story to teach you something. I like to distinguish these two versions of sharing your vulnerability versus just blabbing it out and telling it strategically as your wounds and your scars. We're going to get very visual here. And the way I look at it is, it's almost that feeling. And, tell me in the comments if you agree, but when something happens to you and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, I have to tell somebody, I need to get my phone and I have to find the last person I spoke to so they won't think it's weird and contacting them at 3 a.m. with all the shit that just happened to me, and I have to tell someone, and then you just blurt it out. You know that feeling? We all have that feeling. And I used to do that all the time. I used to just regurgitate my story over and over again, and at the end of the day, it wasn't helping anybody. It was for me. It was coming from a very self-seeking place, and it was me trying to just have, a canvas and another person to regurgitate all of this stuff that had happened to me so that I could get some sort of sympathy in return, some sort of, hey, pat on the back, it's going to be okay. I was looking for affirmation. I was looking for confirmation. It was all geared towards me. Then, when I got my butt in gear and I started learning about things like forgiveness and healing, I realized that, I could be sharing a lot differently and in a more powerful way. Brene Brown talks about the power of vulnerability, and there is power to it if you do it strategically, which is what I teach my clients and what I talk about all the time. And it's this idea of sharing your lessons learned, but it's the idea that when you have that feeling where you have to tell somebody, that's the clue, the inclination that, boom, no, you got to sit your butt down and not tell anybody. That's where you have to sit in it, figure out, go through it on your own, and heal. Because right then it's an open wound. And you don't want to bleed all over everybody. I know it's visual, but it really paints the picture. You want to heal. You want to go through your own self process of learning what it means to you, what happened, forgiving yourself. I have lots of tips and tools on this. And getting to the point where it's a scar. That's when you know you can heal. That's when you know it's a lesson learned. That's the point where you can share. And the way that you can check yourself to realize, am I healed from this? Is if, if you bring up the situation in passing with a good friend, or if someone brings up that topic that you're not sure if you're healed from, if you're able to say, yep, I'm good, let's move on. I kind of dealt with that already. Everything you're going to tell me is not going to bother me one bit. Then you've built up some thick skin, you've healed, you've forgiven yourself, versus, oh, I'm still getting triggered with all my emotions when you bring up that topic. That's a sign that you should not be sharing. When it's a scar, it's a reminder, but it's closed, it's healed. And the point of sharing strategically and vulnerably, like I'm doing with all of these videos in my video journal to you, is saying, hey, I notice you're going through the situation and I've been through something similar. And I just want to come to you now and, meet you where you are, because I know what it feels like. And I want to share with you some of the lessons that I learned from my own journey. If hopefully it can help you and, give you some consolation with what you're going through. That is not a self-seeking way to share your story vulnerably. That is a very giving place you're sharing from, because you see someone in need and you're saying, I want to give you, anything I can, some wisdom, some heartfelt, words I want to give to you. It's not seeking anything in return. And that is having strength. That's what it says. That is having strength in vulnerability. My good friend and dear client made this for me, and I absolutely love it. You know who you are. Thank you, lady, for making me this. And vulnerability is a strength that way. When you are able to share strategically your lessons learned. Not everybody believes this. Some people might think this is hoo-ha online, but this is literally the best way to meet your ideal client where they are, to bring in your life journey, and to help them have a transformation. To meet them where they are and say, your day is coming. It may not be here yet, but if I was able to get to where I am now, take my hand and I'll lead you. And we'll get to that day together. So I hope you got something from today's talk. This is my little strategic vulnerability talk. I'll be coming to you, I've been doing good so far, on the daily with vulnerability talks on ideal clients, and helping you learn how powerful words and conversations and relationships can be in business, because they're absolutely transformational. Consider this my mini TED Talk. Hopefully TED.com notices me at some point. But until then, thank you so much, my fellow lady entrepreneurs out there who are listening. And I hope you walk away today learning that there is strength in your vulnerability, and to practice learning, what lessons you have to share. So much love. Thank you for listening, and I will chat with you soon.